Alright guys, today we are going to be making this amazing looking rock inside of Blender using the Blender add-on Rockform. And if you haven't tried Rockform out already, it is a great add-on that works for Blender 3.5 and 4.0, which allows us to create procedural generated rock shapes using wireframes and meshes. So let's not waste any time, and as always, let's start the sim. So the first thing we need to do here is start with a simple extrusion shape, and we're just going to pull this over a little bit. That's great there. So now that we have something we like, we're gonna go ahead and generate a shape here. And we're just gonna go through these shapes. Have a few different shapes that you can change your meshes to kind of get a start. There's different randomized seeds there. And we'll just go through a few more of these. And basically these are about 8 different shapes here. You can kind of get anything you want to. I really love the floating islands the most. They're very usable. We're gonna extrude this just a little bit to show off the way that the mesh will go ahead and shape around your extrusions underneath. You can also do this in wireframe mode. As you see, it's an easy way to just kind of pull that shape any way you want to on that Y or Z axis there. So the next thing we're going to do here is just go through the voxel size a little bit until we find something we like. And we've sped this up just a bit so you don't have to actually see this generating in real time. And we can change that density here, and that's actually how you control the amounts of the rock that is generated around your original mesh. So we're just going to go ahead and do a little bit of the shape rotation on the X and Y axis and get a little bit there on the Z axis as well. I usually try to use that as much as I can to get variations and just play around with that shape base. And the next thing we can change here is the shape scale, just the min maximum values here. And just play around with it as much as you want to. There's also the spread there. Kind of want to keep that a little bit closer if you're doing the mesh, but you will be able to delete your mesh underneath that you have extruded. So you can come up with all kinds of great shapes there using that spread feature. So we're just going to move this around a bit more until we find something that we like. Got a few there that I'm really interested in. I'd like to play with those a little bit more, but we're going to go ahead and just kind of fix up one of these a bit. Let me drop the scale down here a bit. And we'll go ahead and change that spawn method down to vertices. And I think I'll go ahead and change the texture just a bit. There are a few different textures you can play with here. That'll give you a little bit of variation inside of the sizing and scale as well. And I think we'll just do a couple more here. And just more of the change in that image texture there. This also, as you see, will give us a little bit more density inside of that mesh. You can really create some really interesting and weird shapes here, but next thing we want to do is just go ahead and move that displacement scale up just a little bit and just kind of fine tune it. And this really helps on those details as well, especially if you're not looking to create a low poly mesh. And what we'll do here now, just look through some of these materials. There are a few materials that will come standard inside of Rockform that you can use that will work inside of Cycles and Eevee. But what we're going to do here is go through just a few of these and show them off, but we're going to actually texture this inside of Substance Painter. And as you can see, you just have some of the textures that you can do. This count tiles, fills, normal things, edge fill, your spread here as well. And just by changing some of those values, you can actually get quite a nice variation on some of these textures, different heights on the moss, etc. So like I said, this does work inside of Cycles and Eevee, and the possibilities are really endless with this in the procedural generation of the mesh as well. I just have lots of fun playing with these different rock plugins, and this is one of my favorite here. And we'll just go ahead and show you off the ability to create that low poly mesh. That low poly version is great for, making those quick game assets. But we're going to go ahead and keep a high poly version here that we're going to work on. So we have a little bit more detail to work with once we get this inside Substance Painter, do a couple more things and just finish decimating it here. And as you see, this is a much more high poly version with over 253,000 triangles there. So we'll keep it moving, and we're going to go ahead and put this inside of Substance Painter after I go through, which is just a quick little process of doing these UDIM tiles. I would not recommend doing this if you are someone who's not familiar with it. If you'd like to see more of a full tutorial on how to actually do the UDIM tiles, I would love to do that for you. And as you see, there's just your basic UV unwrap, which will be sufficient for most of your use cases here. But we're going to go ahead and finish doing these UDIM tiles, and then we're going to go ahead and push it over into Substance Painter so we can do a little bit of texturing. And now that we have Substance Painter open, we're just going to go ahead and bake these textures here. We're going to bake them in at 8K, and just to make sure we have our normal sets as well as our ambient occlusion and thickness, etc. So we're just going to go through a quick bake here. There's over 60 UDIM tiles to go ahead and put seams on there as well. And that is just such a long process there for organic shapes, but you have to do what you have to do to try to make these meshes look the best you can. So now that we have that inside here, we're just going to quickly drop on a little bit of texturing here. We have one of our default stone materials that will be available on ArtStation as well as Unreal Engine. And as you see here, I'm just putting a little bit of ambient occlusion in there. And that's pretty much it. As you see, the Rockform plugin is amazing, works extremely well. I highly recommend this. It is for $24 USD. And if you go ahead and use that link down below, we will get a portion of that purchase using our affiliate link. And if you like this one, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Let me know which plugins and add-ons you're using inside of your Blender or Unreal Engine. And stay tuned for more Blender videos like this. And as always, until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.